everyone, welcome back to Al's Living Room. One of the big things that I really love and care about is personal finance and doing our best to create financial freedom for ourselves so that way we have the reassurance that we can always support ourselves no matter what happens in life. So one of the things that helps with building our financial freedom is having a Roth IRA, and January is the month where it's time to contribute our annual limit for what we can to the Roth IRA. I'm not a financial advisor, so I really, probably am not the person who should be really talking about this, but it is something that I love and am interested in, and I feel like I'm someone who can break things down into simple concepts. And I'm hoping to show on the app that I use for Schwab, which is where my primary investments are. I also have Empower and Fidelity, but Schwab is the one that I have my personal investment accounts in, and my Roth IRA, how we do the backdoor Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA, it's a retirement account where we're investing money that has already been taxed. So we've made money at our job, we have our tax removed from our employer, usually. And then we have our money now for ourselves, and then we will put that money into a Roth IRA, and that money will then be able to grow tax-free. And when we take that money out eventually, which there are age stipulations for taking that money out without any penalty, but when you take that money out, you will not be taxed on that money. So the Roth IRA has been considered and mentioned over and over again by multiple financial advisors as one of the ways to build wealth. There is an income limit for being able to contribute to a Roth IRA, and so if we make too much to be able to contribute to the Roth IRA, then we do the backdoor Roth IRA, which is still legal and that many people still do. I wish I started contributing to the Roth IRA earlier. I think I probably lost about 3 years of income where my income was low enough to just do the regular Roth IRA instead of the backdoor Roth. But nowadays I have to do the backdoor Roth. So I'm going to show you on my Schwab account, actually. I do pretty much all of my finances and investing on the apps. It feels kind of weird because I feel like I love using the laptop and website for like everything else, but for some reason I will do my finances and investing on the apps. I think the apps are pretty easy to use. And out of all of the financial accounts that I have, I really like Schwab's app the best. I actually learned about Schwab as one of the accounts to open from Ramit, the author of I Can Teach You to Be Rich. Schwab doesn't have any actual physical banks, and as a result, you can get like free ATM withdrawals from them at any ATM machine, even internationally. So I like that too. This is the backdoor Roth, how I would do it step by step on my app. This year's limit is $7,500. So we are going to click record to learn how to do this. Cool. Okay, so it's recording. We're going to go to Schwab and log in. And I probably end up making my numbers grayed out. If you want to know my numbers, I would love to make another video on that, actually. I think it is so fun to talk about numbers, especially with strangers who don't know. It just, in a way, like personal, but also like being able to have some layer of distance kind of makes it nice. So it's like not too personal. Okay, so right now I have money in my checking account, and then I have a Roth IRA, and then I have my traditional IRA. So my Roth IRA already has money from the previous years that I've had contributed from those limits. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be transferring money from my checking account and transferring it into the traditional IRA first. So we'll do that. Of note, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I remember there's for some reason a rule, and I know it's a real thing, where you want the traditional IRA, you want to have 0 in it. So like if you have other money from other accounts, like for example, if you left a previous job and you moved that previous job's money into a traditional IRA, and then you try to do the backdoor Roth, there is some sort of rule where if you do that backdoor Roth, that because the money that you have could have been counted from the previous job's retirement money, that previous money was pre-tax, right? So that previous money was pre-tax, and then if you're putting that money now into a traditional IRA and then putting that into Roth IRA with your intention of doing backdoor Roth, you could run into some issue because you don't get to control whether, like how it's decided whether the money you're putting in was actually the pre-tax money from your old job or the new money that's post-tax. Essentially, you want it to be zero. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, this is just how I do it. And I have called Schwab and it seemed like I did it correctly. So we are going to do transfer funds. We're going to select our checking account, and then we are going to select our traditional IRA and then convert to a Roth IRA. Okay, so we have a checking account that we're going to go to the traditional IRA, and apparently I can't even do it. Oh my gosh. Payment transfers can only be accepted between the accounts from Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Got it. So I can't even do it for you guys. Okay, never mind. This is kind of not exactly what I was expecting. So I will probably have to do this a different time, and I'll still try to record it. But essentially, we are going to be converting that from the checking account to the traditional IRA, and then we're going to have that sit there for at least a full day. I think the rules can change based on your account, so check your own account. But have that sit there so it's clear that you did a deposit into the traditional IRA, and then we're going to later on convert that to the Roth IRA. So I will record that later when I do that, and then I will then show you the actual next step. Okay, so we're back. So I will just go ahead and summarize what steps we did during the transfer of the money from the checking account to the traditional IRA. So I took a screenshot video of it. So we go to our Schwab app and log in, and then we're gonna go to transfer funds. We're gonna select the transfer from, which is the checking account, and then we're going to then select the to account, which is going to be the traditional IRA account. And we're going to put in the contribution that we want to do for 2026. 2025 was $7,000, and 2026 is going to be $7,500. So you will see in a little bit. So we choose a 2026 year that we're contributing, and then we're going to type in, making sure the date is correct, that we're doing checking to traditional IRA, not to the Roth IRA, and we're typing in $7,500. And that's because we want to do the backdoor Roth, not the actual Roth, whenever our salary is over the limit that's allowed. And then we submit, and then we'll submit transfer, double check everything, checking to traditional, $7,500 to submit, and then we're good. There we go. So then we need about 1 business day for that money to be transferred over from the checking account to the traditional IRA. So that was yesterday when I did that during the actual working hours. And then today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into our Schwab app, and we are going to then look over our account. So now we can see that we have our Roth IRA, and our traditional IRA now has $7,500 in it. We are gonna go now back to the transfer funds again, more transfer funds, transfer from, which is from the traditional IRA, transfer to, which is the Roth IRA, and then we are doing one-time transfer that is going to be for today, and we're going to be doing the max, which is what is right in the account, which is $7,500. We double check everything, we click continue. We're going to then scroll all the way down because they have all of these things that you need to know about the risks of doing this type of transfer from the traditional to the Roth. I've read and agreed to the terms and conditions, and then we then have to submit transfer one last time, and then it says your transfer has been successfully placed. And when we go back to our account, when we refresh it, the money has now been transferred over from traditional IRA to the Roth IRA and is now present in our Roth IRA. So there we have that part. So that is great that it's now in our Roth IRA. However, with it being in our Roth IRA, we still have to invest the money to actual accounts. So next of what we're going to do is you then have to decide beforehand what you want to invest in. I tend to like to do index funds. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but from my understanding, I believe it is better to do ETFs in a taxable account and then mutual funds in a non-taxable account. I could be completely wrong, so please don't quote me on that. But I think the reason is because the mutual funds will try to like balance each other every year. So that way you might end up being taxed on things. And as a result, mutual funds are better to be part of when you are in a non-taxable account. Let's look that up. Are mutual funds better for Roth IRA? Let's look that up. Yes, mutual funds are excellent for Roth IRA because of the tax advantage structure that removes taxes and dividends and capital gains. I will say that it probably doesn't actually matter because at least the mutual fund that I invest in the most, I think it's like if there is any tax, it's very, very, very minimal, that it doesn't really make a significant difference. But in general, from my understanding, mutual funds are better for non-taxable accounts, and ETFs are better for taxable accounts. The benefit of doing the mutual fund is that you can invest however much you want. And then in comparison, for an ETF, you have to buy like a certain number for the price that it's set at. So you might not be able to invest every single dollar that's there. That's one of the things that I love about mutual funds, is that you just buy the money that you have and that's it. You forget about it. So that's what's really easy about that. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe they tend to have lower expense ratios. Our next step for what we're going to do is we are going to invest the money that we just placed into our Roth IRA. So we go to our Roth IRA, and I tend to like to buy in the S&P 500. That's what I've been buying most recently. When I compare everything to the S&P 500, I feel like nothing really does better than it. And because I think I tend to trust history, I'm like generally pretty okay. So like looking at all the comparisons of the markers, really nothing has seemed to truly beat the S&P 500. I think I'm still going to do the same as what I've done last year, which is essentially put everything into the S&P 500. We're going to go into S&P 500. We're going to buy, and we're going to buy with everything we have. And I'm going to include those 13 cents that were there from, I believe, probably from the year before. I'm not sure how that got there. And reinvest, dividend, and gains still. Buy S&P 500 SWPPX, review order just to make sure, and then we're going to place order, and then we're going to be done. And simple as that. We have now invested the max contribution that we can in the Roth IRA. The whole purpose of January being Roth IRA month is that in the year we have as much time as possible for our money to grow tax-free, because it doesn't make sense to be contributing a large sum of money into our taxable accounts earlier when that money will be taxed anyways, and giving more time is money, so giving more time for the money that can grow tax-free is always a bigger advantage. And so as a result, January, beginning of the year, is always a good time to invest in the Roth IRA. So that was that. I mean, I hope that this might have helped someone, and let me know if you are going to be investing in the Roth IRA this year or the backdoor Roth IRA, and if the method that you do is similar to what
I do. Or let me know if I'm making any mistakes that I did not know about. Again, I kind of self-DIY all of this based on research that I look up. But yeah, let me know if there's any corrections that you have or if you do things similarly or differently. All right, have a nice day. Bye.